Dang, bro. Man, I'm all over the place today. All right, hopefully we can do this without burning ourselves or having some sort of other type of disaster. How are you guys doing today? Hey, at least it ain't a freaking tube we're working on this time. I don't have to be 110% on board with everything mentally. What's up, Pop VR? How you doing, Bo? I appreciate it, man. This this Genesis has been sitting idle for a long time because when I was a kid, I don't know why I thought I could do a clock mod without buying an extra oscillating crystal, but for whatever reason, I somehow believed in my head I could do it. And literally all I have to do with this thing is just put the clock back on, knocking on wood, because hopefully I didn't break something else by putting it in wrong or anything like that. For some reason, I put a glob of solder there on the CPU. That doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Maybe I had to cut a pin on the CPU or something. I don't know, dude. I don't know. But that's what I'm assuming. And then I just recently got some desoldering braid off of eBay. So hopefully we can utilize that and try to get this thing right, because it's kind of just a waste with it sitting here and not doing jack. So I think the first thing I'm going to try to do is get this solder out of here. If I can figure out how to use this. This is my first time ever using desoldering wick or any type of desoldering anything, believe it or not. I always did it the old-fashioned way, which is heat it up with a lot of patience, and that's all. What's up, Dominic? How you doing, Bo? Welcome aboard stream, dude. Okay. So now we should be able to just press this on here. See, I went ahead and sanded the tip of this soldering iron because I believe that part of the reason why I was having so much trouble was because of how dirty it was. You know, this is what I used when I was a kid. So it's like I didn't know any better for the longest time about anything, really. But here we are, dude. This brings me back. I smelled that smell of burning solder for like the longest time. I love it, dude. I'm telling you. I really do. I'm just not sounding the most enthused right now because I haven't eaten in a while. So that's why my mind's kind of off. I don't know. I've just been feeling it. I'm feeling kind of off. But hey, what are you going to do? I feel like that's good enough for now. Let's move on to the next. You know, aren't you supposed to like add fresh solder to these before you try desoldering them? That's what I heard. Let's do that. Thanks, man. It's really not good at all. But this is very amateur. I've only done very minimal mods in my day. Very minimal. So we're just going to add some fresh solder to this so that we can remove it, whatever sense that makes. Yeah, dude, I appreciate it, man. You must be talking about my YouTube videos in general, not just what I'm doing here, right? Because, like, Again, I'm like the most amateur person ever to do this on YouTube, I feel like. But hey, you got to learn somehow, right? You just got to jump in and do it. Sometimes you're going to make mistakes, and that's okay. That's why we're not working on a TurboGrafx 16 right now. We're working on a Sega Genesis. You can do all this time for me. I appreciate that, dude. Whenever, well, I shouldn't say whenever. If ever I get arrested, I'll be sure I keep you in mind so you can do all the time for me and I can stay out here in the free world. Yeah, I appreciate it, bro. That's what you meant, right? We gotta make sure we clean up all this solder over here because we don't want it shorting something out later on, right? That's definitely a thing one should have to worry about. This is why probably one of those like suction tube things would be much better to have. I feel like a Q-tip should be able to pick this up. Yeah. All right, so there's that. For whatever reason, this solder ain't really getting sucked up like it should. Still got like a little spot in there where it's just hanging out. So we're gonna move on to the next one and see if we have any better luck with that. There we go. So yeah, apparently heating up the solder first and then pressing it up against the desoldering braid is the way to go. That way you can kind of suck it up. Buttercup bow. Yeah. This here was definitely a cold solder joint. But such is life, dude. They're all cold solder joints one way or another. It's radio. You like my style, huh? I appreciate that, man. Ooh, that was hot. Or maybe it stabbed me? I don't know. It was either a hot or stabbing sensation. I don't know which. I don't know. Maybe you guys can get back with me later on that. Well, there's that. Okay, so this is coming loose. So that's good. We'll heat this up and then go for a dip. That sounds like fun, you guys. Don't be eating ice cream beforehand because you know what happens. No, I can't keep anybody from eating ice cream. I'm just jealous because I can't. Anytime I try to eat ice cream, it just wrecks my insides. Gone sexual. No, I like ice cream. I don't know. It's a good experience, especially with some chocolate syrup on top. Some syrup. Oh yeah. Yeah. Let me see if maybe I can pull this chip off of here. Here now, Mr. Sir. I highly doubt it, but it's worth a shot if we don't knock our dang blasted soldering iron off the stand. That would be good. All right. This table sucks because it like wiggles around and junk. Maybe I ought to desolder braid the top portion as well. Because I think me being the idiotic person I was at the time, I tried putting some solder on the top end as well, just as a last ditch effort to try to get this thing working again. Model 3 is your favorite? I used to have a Model 3 back in the day. I didn't mind it. I mean, yeah, you can't use the 32X or the Sega CD with it without modifying it. But it's a cool little console for sure. I think since I already have another one of these, when I do fix this, I'm probably going to sell it and buy other games. Like maybe something for the TurboGrafx 16. That's what I was thinking. I don't know. What do you guys think? How should I spend my money? Tell me right now, dude. No, for real though. Let's try to see if we can squeeze this underneath here. Dude, this has got to be one of the sketchiest setups I think I've ever seen. Like the cable's just barely long enough. This is as far as I can pull it right here. I'm about to melt this wire. Oh no, it's freaking stuck on there, dude. Should I get something to pry up on this chip? That'd probably be a good idea. Hold on, I'm gonna get my pick and I'll pry up on it slightly as I'm doing this. You guys, don't try this at home. I don't know what I'm doing, okay? So just to get that out of the way, this is more like for the people who know how to do stuff to watch this and be like, man, this guy really sucks at this. And just laugh at me the whole time. That's basically it, dude. Okay, I'm gonna slide this pick underneath this clock chip here and see if we can pry it up some. Hopefully, Bo. I'm gonna try to pry it up, and then after that, I'm gonna try to, oh, there it went. I'm gonna try to get the rest of the extra solder off of there so we can put this thing in legit. Try not to scratch these traces because there's a whole buttload of them. Welcome to 16-bit, you guys. Wow. Actually got some circuitry going. Imagine that. I might have to heat this thing up from the bottom. I know I'm headed for the bottom. Okay, I'm gonna tilt this over here. I might have to put a counterweight on this thing, dude. So I can like get on my creeper and roll underneath this thing. Let's see, how about a can of Pepsi? Does that count? Oh shit. Yeah, go ahead and burn the carpet while you're at it, dumbass. Okay, hopefully that'll stay now. All right, I'm gonna put a can of Pepsi on this thing, just for good luck. And then we'll slide this out this way. That should be a good enough counterweight for us. Hopefully. And I'm gonna go underneath this thing. Oh shit, be careful. I always get distracted when I try to read comments. Castigator says, boom. Oh yeah, dude, we're about to blow the place up. Ho Event Official, what's up, dude? I think you're the first person with a check mark to jump in here, dude. So welcome aboard. Literally. Wow, sorry for the pun, you guys. Not too often I can say that. I say welcome aboard very often. But not too often I can say that. Okay, here we go. Hopefully we won't knock our Pepsi over. That would be against the rules. But at the very least, it's pretty well balanced on there, and it's not open, so we don't have any risk of any spillage, you guys. This is probably one of the sketchiest things I think I've ever done. I can't even see where the chip is. Okay, I found it. Just call me the Hackinator from now on, you guys. There we go. All right, we got off her using a can of Pepsi. That's got to be a new world record or something, dude. All right, now we're going to take this dang blasted chip and try to get the rest of the solder off of it. And then after we do that, I'm going to go ahead and try and see if I can't look up a schematic for this thing and make sure it's in the correct orientation before I put it back on. What's up, Dominic? Welcome back, dude. Thanks for the likes, you guys. I appreciate that. Okay. There we go. Our desoldering braid yet again. And we're going to go to town on this thing, dude. Probably, maybe. I don't know. Should I trim this off? Is that what the pros do? I probably should. I'll probably trim that off. Stay. This is like the worst angle ever, you guys. I'm sorry. Here, hold on. Get that fixed real quick. There, how's that? Okay, grab my scissors. These are professional grade from kindergarten. I'm sure some kindergarten teachers use those and call them that, professional grade. Since they're making a living at the very least. All right. Trying to get this thing ejected a little bit. There. Get ejected, dude. Oh, there's a pin that's lifted up on this thing too. I just seen that. So I'm going to have to resolder that. That might have been one of the reasons why it wasn't working when I put it back together. All right. So yeah, what is that? The GPU, maybe? I don't know. Possibly, Bo, possibly. But either way, hopefully we can get this thing working. Yet again. I remember, I think I got this thing for $15 back probably about, I don't know, 7 or 8 years ago. But the video store I used to go to back in the day, that was their policy for Genesises. They'd sell you one for $15 and you get a controller, the cables, and Sonic the Hedgehog 2, all for $15. And then I remember I tried doing that at some other place. I was still a kid. I was probably like 12 or 13. And I was wanting to buy one for my friend for his birthday. And I went to go buy one. They're like $30-something or whatever. And I'm like, what? $30? This other place I go to sells them for 15. And the guy was like, what's the name of the place? And I told him, and they actually called the place up and was like, hey, this kid's over here saying you guys sell Sega Genesises for $15 a piece. And he's like, yeah, sometimes we even throw in a game too. And then they got off the phone with their tail between their legs and they're like, yeah, no, we're still not selling it to you for that. But I bought it anyway. So what are you gonna do? What's up, Dominic? I'm cute and cool. I have a girlfriend, bro. So calm yourself. But anyway, yeah, that was one of my memories from middle school anyway, I think it was. Or maybe early high school. I don't know. I might have been 14. Well, yeah, dude, this wick is pretty sucky in a good way, if you guys know what I mean. Hopefully you do. If not, I don't know how else to explain it to you. Thanks for the like, man. I appreciate that. That looks clean enough. I want to clean up this residue. I'll get that out of the way. I should probably use some rubbing alcohol for that. Yeah, I probably should. We're gonna do this right here, you guys. We want it to work and stay working. Okay? Is that too much to ask? Get out my isopropyl, right? Because I made it out of potato skins, you guys. That's some high proof liquor right there. Oh yeah. No, don't actually drink that shit. That's gonna be my disclaimer for the day. Apart from everything else I've already disclaimed in this video. Because there's always got to be at least one. I'm good at putting my foot in my mouth pretty often, dude. So, yeah, this is a lot of gunk here. I'm glad it's all coming up. I want to make sure I get it all off. Because I wouldn't normally do this. That seems a little loose, but it should be okay. I don't know why it's so black. Hopefully I didn't melt off the actual trace or whatever. I don't know, dude. Well, it should be intact on the bottom still, right? At the very least. Let's see this. Yeah, it should still be okay. I'm gonna go ahead and see if I can't get the rest of the solder off of this piece here. Do I have like a little clamp? I think I might use a clothespin. That's probably a good idea, ain't it? Where do I have my clothespins hanging out at? I know I stuck them up somewhere random there for a minute. Maybe they're up by the TV stand. Never know till you check. Don't knock until you try it, you guys. You always gotta check by the TV for whatever reason. Oh, well, looking for that, I found something else we're gonna need. I remember I took this thing apart probably 6 or 7 years ago, and I knew I had the screws in this container here. I forgot where I put it, but it was back behind the TV. Well, yeah, we're definitely going to need these to put this back together because the way I had it sitting around, I didn't have any screws in it. So this is going to really save our asses here, you guys. We got a pot off the Atari 2600. You always got to have your pot involved with that console, dude, I'm telling you. These are some membranes off of a PSS 170, I think. This has the same sound chip as the Sega Master System did in Japan. So that's why I got it. I ended up buying another one. I don't know, I was going to try to like chip tune this thing and then I fucked it up. Just like everything else. But what are you going to do, you guys? That's right, I was looking for clothespins. Or any type of apportational device for any of you Spaniards out there. Quattroporte says, not sure who you are, but I hope you fix it, bro. I appreciate it, man. I'm going to try my best. For once, I'm going to try to do this legit instead of just willy-nilly messing stuff up. Hopefully. Fingers crossed, you guys. I might have to go on an expedition here for these clothespins. Or I guess I could probably use some locking pliers, but I don't think I have any of those here. Let's see, maybe in a closet? Oh, here's one. I was hoping for a metal one, just so I wouldn't have to smell any melting plastic. But sometimes you gotta work with what you got, dude. I would have much rather had wood. Wood is good. See, that rhymes as well. Okay, so should be able to finagle this thing around. Hey, look, we're matching too. That's bonus points right there, you guys. Okay, let's try this shit. We're gonna have to straighten these pins out once we're done. There we go. That's good. Just for all you got there. No matter how much it smokes and get in your face and all that stuff, when you're soldering something, you don't want to blow on it. When you're desoldering something, it doesn't really matter as much. I don't think. Again, I'm an amateur. Don't you guys ever listen to my advice? It's not good advice. Do your own research. Okay, flip this around. Kind of set us up for success. Plop her down. And we're gonna go ahead and try to desolder this side as well. Just try to get it really clean, in theory. Sometimes you gotta heat it up beforehand and then she'll just slide right off for you. Right about like that. We're getting some off there still. But you don't want to heat it up too much. You don't want to damage the internals, which I'm not even sure if that's a thing, but you always gotta err on the side of caution. Because I remember when I was a kid, I was trying to do an AV mod on my Atari 2600, and I ended up heating the thing up so much that the traces started lifting up off of it. And then I just ended up throwing that thing away, sadly. I want to get that little blob of solder off of there. There. Ooh. Ooh, okay. Gotta be careful with that. That's pretty sensitive circuitry right there, dude. I'm sure you guys can tell I have no idea what I'm talking about. But literally just fixing my own screw ups here. Because this originally was supposed to be a clock mod. And for some reason I thought I could do it without another clock. So literally all I ended up doing was desoldering this one and breaking a couple pins. And then leaving it for 6 years. You may call me the procrastinator if you wish, okay? But at least I'm trying to improve. All right, now we're gonna see if I can't straighten these pins out, maybe with a pair of needle nose, most likely. I'm gonna get them out for you. All right, I got some Pittsburgh. I got some Matcos somewhere else, but that's what they all say, right? Okay. We're gonna straighten these out. Some pretty precise workings here, dude. You don't want to bend too much and just have it fall out. That would not be good. So we always have to be a part of the minimalist lifestyle here, you guys. What's up, Cabot Kisser? What's up, Insane Cow? Fix that blast processor, doctor. We need to go fast. That's Dr. Procrastinator Surgeon at Large. Oh, yeah, you know it. That's great, dude. Thanks for jumping on. Cabot Kisser says, I didn't buy a Genesis when it first came out. I bought the Model 2 from Kmart's for 99 bucks back in, if I remember, about 93, 94. It came out with Sonic 2. That's what's up, bro. I think that's what my parents did as well, because I wasn't alive at the time. But I'm pretty sure they told me they got it back in like 95 or something like that. But that isn't this console. We got a Model 2 as well. So we were extra hip. No, I kind of prefer the Model 1 these days with the HD, whatever you call it, on the front. But I do still have a soft spot for the Model 2 sound chip even though people say it's not as good as the first one, but I don't know. I can tell the difference. You guys probably understand and relate to that. But I want to go ahead and whip out my laptop real quick and make sure I'll look up a schematic for this thing and make sure I'm putting the clock back on the correct way. Was also not alive, but one of my friends actually gave me their Genesis because they knew I was into retro stuff. And that was before you were born, huh? Cat Kisser says, later my mom and dad bought me the Sega CD Model 2 for Christmas. That's what's up, dude. I bought a Sega CD Model 2 when I was a kid and ended up playing it on the floor. And I went to go like get the cable and I left the CD tray open and I kicked it and it bent backwards. And that was a rough time of my life, dude. I'm telling you. Uh, time travel. That's what's up. Should have gotten TurboGrafx. Absolutely. Back in 94 when they were liquidating all that stuff for like $40. Yeah, that would have been the day. I would have thoroughly enjoyed that as well. All right, I'm going to go grab my laptop so I can look up the schematic for this thing. Be right back. All right, you guys, I'm back. Okay. For any of you PC guys, just know I have a PC as well. You almost have to going into computers because my graphic design professor uses a Mac, but my programming professor uses a PC. So it's like you just gotta switch back and forth. But anyway, I'm gonna look up Sega Genesis Model 1 schematic. There we go. We always gotta make sure we're doing this the right way. It's just a list of a bunch of different ones. That's real helpful. Oh, it just rerouted to the same website again. That's grand. See if I can zoom into that. You know what? I'm just going to look at a picture of the board. That'll be easier. That way I can like kind of look at it just at a glance and be like, yeah, that's the right one. Okay. This looks to be correct. All right. So the dot goes in the bottom left-hand corner. That's the way we got it, dude. So we were all good all along, you guys. Imagine that. We could have just skipped that step entirely, but hey. It's always better to be safe than sorry. That ain't going down in there. I think I might have to desolder this a tad more. Just a little bit. Because our holes ain't really opening up on two of these pins. And you all know we always have to have an open hole, right? For easy access and all that type of stuff. You guys have any tips for maintaining an open hole with these? Let's see. Insane Cow says, LOL reminds me when we had iMac laptops at school, always used Windows at home and was like, ooh, this is what rich people use. Learn Photoshop in 7th grade on a desktop Apple II. That's what's up, dude. It's funny. I don't normally say Windows, but my professor does, so I think I'm going to start just in honor of him, dude. So, yeah, I don't know, bro. Maybe we should just try to wing ding it in there. Can we at least get like 2 of these pins inserted for F's sake? Maybe I can heat them up and kind of convince it somehow. Gotta make sure they're all lined up first. If being a body guy has taught me anything, maybe I could just heat it up like this. Plop her down. Maybe that'll at the very least help hold it in. We got the top end to sink down in there a bit. Well, maybe I should try doing this back side here as well. What the fuck? At the very least. I'll have to try to push that in there better. Windows, Microsoft. Oh, it's great. Computer. Bill Gates, Steve Jobs. That's pretty good, man. It's like every week I find out a new quirk about his vocabulary. It's pretty funny. Maybe I can suck some more of this solder out of here while I'm at it, since I'm kind of pushing it out in the first place. Maybe that'll do. I don't freaking know. Yeah, the suction gun probably would have been our best bet. Hindsight's always 20/20. Most of the time. I don't know, dude. This is starting to kind of suck. Oh, there we go. I think I might have forced it out there too much. Yeah, that royally sucks. We had a fucking, we had a trace break on us, I believe. So now what? Probably just have to scratch that trace open and then solder to there. Anybody want to give me some pointers at all? Or do I just not have the right tool for the job? That's kind of how I feel. That's the top portion that's giving us heck. Hey, sometimes you got to break something to know the threshold, you know? And now I can always be like, oh, that's the metric for tolerance I need to go by from now on. All right. So now I think I just have to scratch around that trace, I think. And then I'll drag the solder over to it. Right? I don't know, this isn't really peeling off like I expected it to. Motherfucker, what am I doing wrong here, you guys? He says, no, I'd be the last person to go near a soldering iron, but Godspeed. Hey, at the very least, it was already broken, so, like, what do I have to lose? Stalemate. Aw, too late, you guys. So, I'm just gonna fucking put some solder on it, some solder blade, and then we'll move on. I ain't sticking to jack on that. That might be an issue, dude. It's probably a ground pin anyway. Might be able to jump a wire over to ground somehow. I don't know, bro. That's still cracking me up, bro. I'll be the last person to go near soldering iron, but Godspeed anyway, dude. I think I might have broken open something over here, maybe. I want to look up which pin is the ground pin on the Sega Genesis clock chip. And then I might just run a wire over from that pin over to ground and call it good. Let me see. What's... Wait, hold on. Let me make sure I know which one needs help. Yeah, that's the pin with the dot on it. So that's a good sign that it might be the ground pin. That's the cartridge pin out. I don't need that. I'll look up images. Excuse me. I'm changing our terminology here, you guys. I put clock chip and it's being a smart ass, so I changed it to the oscillate. Pin 2. Well, which one is that, buddy boy? So in order to test this out, the way this is providing me information would only be to test the voltage on it. I don't want to have to do that. So I'm just going to Hail Mary this operation and just go ahead and assume that's the ground pin and just fuck it, dude. Because if it ain't, what are we going to do at that point? Wire it somewhere else? Who put you on the planet? All right, let's get some speaker wire. All right, this is real professional, you guys. How bad is the smell from soldering? It's not bad. It's just only enough to be reminiscent of when I used to do this kind of crap. But it's not bad. Just to put it into perspective, the smell of my tube TV warming up is a lot worse. But maybe that's just me. This ought to be long enough here. Yeah, across the whole dang board if we want it to, dude. All right, I'm gonna try to. Thanks for the like, man. I appreciate that. I'm going to try to strip this wire without a wire stripper, the old-fashioned way, sir. So we're going to just gnaw at it at the ends. Hopefully, this wire's seen better days, dude. It's probably from like the 90s or something. Which, what else are we working with today anyway? There we go. So we got a stripped off there. Not too bad. I'll go ahead and twist this up. Get all the moisture from my fingers on there so it'll rust and then have a shitty connection later on. It's probably a good plan. Yeah. I'm going to wire this side to ground. Because it's a little bit bigger, maybe this one will be, it'll be easier to solder it onto the chip itself. All right, dude, if this works, it's gonna be a miracle. All right, I'll go ahead and get some soda on there. And then we'll see what happens, dude. That might work. Maybe, Bo. Seems like it's on there. I think I'm going to cut this a little bit shorter because it's too long. Better too much than not enough, anyway. Am I good? Yeah, I'm good. I'm not good at this, but in general, yeah, I'm doing pretty well. If that's what you're asking. Does that answer your question? All right, I'm gonna cut it right about there. Hopefully this won't look too suspicious, which I'm already sure it will because, I mean, just look at that. It's freaking dirty as shit. What's up, straight cat man? Yeah, it was a Sega Mega Drive everywhere except for here, so it's like we were kind of the odd ones out at that point. But yeah, I'm perfectly fine with that reality. I'm also fine with calling vacuums Hoovers as well, just in case any of you guys wanted to know. And thanks for the like, man. I appreciate that. All right, so I'm just gonna jump this wire over here and hope to God it works. I'm just gonna put a little blob of solder right there. Indeed. I don't think that's gonna connect. I might have to scratch it up a little bit. Possibly, maybe. If it will scratch, because I tried scratching the board earlier and it wouldn't. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. Probably a lot. That ought to add a little bit of connectivity, dude. All right. Hopefully we'll be able to put a little blob of solder on there and it'll actually stick now. Luck. We might need to get a mechanical connection before we get an electrical connection. Maybe. Damn it, bro. This is going over here too, ain't it? We're going to assume that it is. Come on, melt. I need a piece of wood to clean off this tip here. This is getting kind of ridiculous, you guys. All right. I'll do it. We'll get some fresh solder on that, dude. All right. That's not the sketchiest thing I've ever seen. Bums my uncle, dude. Which he kind of is, but what are you gonna do? All right, now the very delicate task of putting that microscopic pin back where it needs to go. soldering it back on there, dude. I'm not even going to put any extra solder on there. I'm just going to use what I got. And hopefully my aim's good enough not to screw it up. Just about burned my hand right there. You guys see that? It is very hard to tell if that's on there. I don't know, I might want to add a little bit of solder to it. That might be good, dude. All right. I think it's about time to test this thing out now. Fingers crossed, you guys. I didn't do anything to the CPU, which, if I'm trusting my past work, which probably isn't a good idea, then it should work in that case. But we only have half of it, so let's get the other half of the case. Wherever it is. Swenya, where to put the baba? Okay, probably somewhere on the floor. Oh, there it is. That's what the old paint tell me anytime I'd lose something. He'd say, that's probably where you put it. He was kind of a dick. Anyway, get this back together one way or another. Put our little power thingy back in there, dude. Probably should have put that in there first. Oh boy. We're hanging, you guys. Hang 10. Alright. That should just about do it. We're gonna adjust our volume knob for ease of putting back togethers, dude. And then once we're done, we'll put our RF shielding back on there. If it does work. Don't want to knock too hard, it'll knock the frickin' soldering iron off there. Okay, anyways. Hopefully that ground wire ain't gonna get in our way. Put a couple screws in it would probably help. Probably. That seems more better. Alright guys, we're gonna freaking test this piece of crap, and then if it doesn't work, then I'm gonna go eat something, dude. If I didn't already say that, which I think I might have, but who cares? Alright, we have power connected. I don't know if it's gonna light up. Hopefully it doesn't light up. That doesn't sound very good. Let's turn into a cigarette lighter instead of an ashtray. Whenever you mess up in shop class, it always wound up being an ashtray, but if you mess up in electronics class, you always end up making a cigarette lighter. That's how that works. Okay, dude. The moment of truth, you guys. I want to adjust the view here so y'all can see a little more centered on the screen, dude. Turn off this light. Okay, here we go. Everybody cross your fingers at home. Putting Thunder Force 2 in. I don't think, well, we got power at the very least. I don't think we have the video hooked up. No, we don't. Okay, here we go. Not a good sign. You guys hear that? It's hooked up. But it ain't doing jack. Maybe it's the cartridge. I doubt it. I don't think we've made any progress from how it was working before. If you want to call it that, working. We'll try Atomic Robo. Yeah, I don't think we're having any luck, dude. Well, at the very least, it was worth... Oh, it's doing more stuff now. At the very least, it was worth a shot. Well, thanks for the likes, you guys, even though I don't really deserve it. I think it did, the word mega itself, especially with it being on the actual console on the front. Just like stickers add horsepower, dude. Kids today have no idea how great it was to be a teenager in the 90s playing Sonic the Hedgehog on that bad boy. Oh, yeah. It was pretty good, dude. Biological Hazard says, it would have been a great repair if it displayed the image without being connected to the TV. I know, right? Turn into a Bluetooth Genesis, dude. I think it's a little bit too blue, but maybe I could look into a little more about the schematics on that oscillating crystal, but for now it's just gonna wind up under the couch again. So anyways, guys, I appreciate y'all tuning in. Even though we failed in succeeding in our mission, I appreciate it. Thank you for all the likes, all the subs. All right, we'll see y'all next time very soon. All right, peace. See you in St. Cal. Later, dude. Later, guys. Later, JK.